Hey guys, so now we find out we're going to be at home a little bit longer, so I'm continuing my series on YouTube of doing some mat Pilates. Today what I'm going to focus on are two exercises that sometimes really discourage people when they go to a regular mat Pilates class. The first exercise you usually do in a mat Pilates class is hundreds. If you've never done it before, or you walk into a class and you're wondering why everybody is flapping their arms, trying to take flight, you don't quite understand it, they tell you to lift your head up and put your chin on your chest, and then your head and neck hurt and you're wondering what's happening. Then the other one is a roll up, and it's like a slow motion sit up. So that has a lot of problems with it too. So what I'm going to do is try to break down those two exercises, tell you why you do them, and that will encourage you to continue to do them. And also knowing they're not really a beginning exercise. So if you're new to Pilates, you want to do some kind of modification to it. They used to say, well, this is exactly the way that Mr. Pilates did it. And Mr. Pilates had people come in and do privates with him first. So he just didn't throw them into these more difficult exercises. So the first is hundreds. Hundreds is you do 100 count. That's why it's called that way. But it is a breathing exercise. Sometimes that's hard to think about when you are told to kind of flap your arms. But basically the movement of the arms is just helping you to rhythmically keep the count. But what you're trying to do is to be able to learn how to inhale in this particular way, inhale to a count of 5 and exhale to a count of 5, and still keep the deep abdominal muscles engaged. A lot of people have a tendency to either inhale or exhale, hold the abs tight, and then completely let go. And that may be okay for a very simple exercise, but when you're putting together more reps, when you're doing a more difficult exercise, you've really got to learn in this deepest part of the spine where we're trying to build the integrity or the infrastructure of the body, the deep abdominal muscles that support the spinal structure. You've got to be able to keep that pressure or contain those deep abdominal muscles consistently. So the first thing they're just asking you to do is, can you inhale and exhale and keep the abdominal muscles engaged? So I'm going to get you a couple of variations to do. So on the first one, instead of your feet being up in the air, your legs are just going to be down. So in this position, my feet are hip distance apart, my hands are down on the mat, and also I'm not going to lift my head, neck, and shoulders up. So what my focus is, I'm going to inhale to a count of 5 and exhale to a count of 5. Trying to feel that weightlifter's belt, the deep abdominal muscles pulled in. If you look at my previous videos, I really talk about that deep abdominal muscle, really with a lot of detail to it. So the exercise would simply look like this. So I'm moving the arm from the shoulder socket, not flapping my hand and not flapping my elbow. So I'm going to inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically the only movement is at the shoulder, at the shoulder joint. What I don't want to see happening is perhaps that you get the whole body moving. So you maybe collapse here. Remember, we're in a neutral spine position, so you have that low back curve defined. So you want to make sure that as you move the arms that you don't collapse in the torso. Okay, so that would be the first way that you would do it. So you're focusing on your breath. So you make the movement simple so you can focus on the really harder part of the exercise. Okay, the next way that you would do it would be a load. And so then it's asking you, can you inhale and exhale and load the weight of the legs? When you work your body weight, you're working a lot of weight. So they say that your leg weighs about 20 or 25 pounds. So you're talking about 40 or 50 pounds if both legs are up in the air. So that exercise would look like this. So we put the legs in a tabletop position. So again, the focus is here. The knees are over the hips. We have a 90-degree angle here, a 90-degree angle here. If I pulled my legs too far in, my back would flatten out. If I took them too far away, then you're really starting to really challenge the deep abs. And we're not yet there quite yet. So again, it's an inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale out the mouth. Remember, we're inhaling through the nose to filter the air, and then exhale through pursed lips as we exhale. Good. All right. One of the hardest things to do in Pilates is to try to get the head and neck in alignment. Now, kind of in the olden days of Pilates, they actually taught you to put your chin to your chest, but that's a really unnatural position to be in. What you want to try to do is to follow the normal curve. So when we lift the head and neck up, we're trying to create a gentle, continuous curve from the base of the skull all the way down through the upper back. If you have it in the correct position, balanced over the neck, the head will feel weightless. So if the head and neck start to hurt, what I suggest people do is to pretend like your head is a little bit of a bobblehead. So you're moving on those top two vertebrae that say no and yes. And if you play with it, you'll find that position where the head and neck is in a more balanced position and it won't hurt. So if you're practicing with the head and neck, then we're going to practice that. So we're going to come back down, our feet are back down on the mat. So I'm going to inhale through the nose to prepare. I'm going to lengthen the back of the neck and start it to move. And then I can pulse. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Incorrect of the head would be to jam it way down. A lot of people have a tendency to lift it up and they pull here and oh my gosh, that hurts here and here. So you don't want to do that. It's tricky because you can't look in the mirror and say, oh, how do I look, because you've moved your head and neck. Another way to think about it is you are trying to think of lengthening or almost tractioning the neck. So what I like to do is to interlace my fingers, put them on the lower part of the neck, and then run them up to the base of the skull. When I get here and really pull to traction, it creates that gentle nod of the chin toward the chest. So I feel real supported here. So you could actually try it that way of just lifting the head and neck up. So I'm here, inhale, exhale, run the hands up, traction the neck. It feels nice and supported. Maybe I could let go and pulse with only one arm. The head is supported. Remember, the purpose of the exercise is inhaling and exhaling, keeping the abs engaged. So just work on one thing at a time. Okay. If you get more advanced in this, then the movement of the leg happens. So when the leg reaches out, it's reaching further away from the abdominals. So it is giving a challenge to the abdominals that, again, as you press out, the pelvis doesn't change. People would have a tendency to arch their back. And as you pull it back in, again, that the pelvis isn't moving. So a more traditional exercise might look like this. So I'm going to inhale to prepare, lengthen through the back of the neck, stretch my legs out, and then I'm going to pulse. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Rest. Remember, if you're taking mat classes and you hadn't have the ability to work in a smaller private or semi-private, try to start in the beginning. Don't try to match the person next to you. What you need to do is to be able to focus on the purpose of the exercise, and on that exercise, it's on breathing. All right, the next juicy exercise that we're going to work on is a roll-up. So if I think about the two exercises that you could probably do that have been around for the longest period of time, that would be a push-up and that would be a sit-up. The sit-up is Mr. Pilates' version, the roll-up is Mr. Pilates' version of a sit-up. So it does work the deep abdominal muscles that flatten out the stomach. The rolling up is done with your side oblique muscles and a little bit of the rectus abdominis muscle. We have you roll up one vertebrae at a time, so it works on flexibility of the spine. We're asking that you not use momentum. So if you're in a class where somebody tells you to throw your arms forward, then you need to find another instructor. You're trying to use your abdominal muscles and try to roll up slowly. It's not going to help if you're using momentum or you arch your back as you come up. So again, we have different ways to work on the roll up. So if I'm doing the roll up here, my arms are going to come up and then I'm going to exhale, start to roll up one vertebrae at a time, deep abs, pull up and in as I come to a seated position. And then I'm going to roll back down. So again, abs pull up and in as I roll through the spine, reaching back behind me. You're losing my head. All right. So what you don't want to see is I'll see people start to come here. Okay, they lift the head and neck, and then they can't get up. So the first thing they do wrong is try to kind of pull through their arms to try to get them up. Unfortunately, what that does is it shifts the weight up to the shoulders. So your weight's supposed to be here so you can roll this way. The other thing that happens is people will tighten their butt. So if I tighten my butt, I actually push my butt back this way. Well, I'm trying to roll this way, so my weight is incorrect. And then people finish, they can't get up, they're the only one down on the floor, but by gosh, I'm gonna get up, so they do this. So I had somebody ask me, well, when I get better? Well, you might get better at jerking yourself up, but if you don't work your abdominals to get up, then jerking with your arms and using momentum is gonna help you to learn the exercise correctly. One of the ways that I like to teach people to do it are gonna be 3 different exercises that you put together to build the strength of it. One is going to be what we call ab prep. So it's like, I'm gonna start to do a roll up and then I change my mind. My main thought process here is I wanna try to keep the weight low in the belly. So my arms are reaching toward my heels. I'm gonna lengthen through the back of the neck. I'm gonna start to lift my head, neck, and shoulders up. My abs are pulled up and in. And then I slowly come back down. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale, you move. Now what I don't do again is tighten my butt and push my pelvis back. My weight is shifting this way. I've got to keep the weight this way in order to roll up. So that's ab prep. It teaches you the principles of keeping the pelvis weighted with the deep abdominal muscles. You're starting to roll through the head and neck, so you're organizing the body as you roll up. Right. The second exercise tries to get the shoulders moving a little bit in the rib cage. So again, you're going to start here. Inhale. You're going to start to reach through the head and neck. Now you're going to grab the back of the thighs and see if you can lift the chest up a little bit higher. Good. And then rolling back down. So again, I move through the head and neck like I did before. My arms are reaching forward. Now, without touching my shoulders, I'm going to try to get those oblique muscles working to start to lift me up and then lower back down. And again, inhale to prepare. Exhale, start to move. Keep the weight moving that way as you start to lift the chest up lightly and then rolling back down. Now, the other exercise would be to come from the other direction. So I'm starting up and I'm going down, but I'm only going to go halfway down. Again, I'm learning to pull the deep abdominals in so my side abdominal muscles can work. And this is like a half roll up. So arms are reaching forward. I'm going to slowly start to roll down, rolling through that low back, middle back, and upper back. Pause. And then slowly keep the abs pulling in as I come back up. If you need help with the balance, you could hold on to your legs. I'm trying to roll my stomach away from my front of my thighs as I roll back. Hold. Keep the abs pulling in away from my thighs as I come back up. So you can slowly see that as you're starting to learn, you're learning this way, the oblique muscles, and in the other way, you're learning to start from the floor, which is, again, really hard. So if you start to put those together, inhale here, exhale, I'm rolling through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. My feet are reaching forward, tailbone is reaching forward as I slowly come up, stretching over my legs, and then slowly rolling back down, one vertebrae at a time. Deep abs, pull up and in. Good. These exercises are hard to do, so if you've started mat Pilates on your own, what I would always recommend you do is to try to find an instructor who can teach you a little bit on the equipment. Mr. Pilates made the equipment to help spot you on a lot of the mat exercises that are so difficult to do. And also remember, some of the exercises really play with your posture. So if you have a longer torso and shorter legs, it's going to be harder for you to do a roll-up, but easier for you to do a rollover. So don't compare yourself to the other person. Try to break the exercises down. Remember why you're doing the exercise, so the purpose of the exercise will help you, and I think you'll really enjoy yourself. Remember, I love Pilates, and I want you to love it too. So try these exercises along with my other videos that work on the basics of Pilates. Thank you.